Hello friends, welcome to my channel. Today is the day 6 for our F5 LTM series. Today we'll discuss about the initial configuration of BigIP. So in this video, I'll be covering how we can activate the interface of BigIP, what is self IP, how we can configure node, pool and virtual server. So these are the very basic topic that I'm going to cover in this video. So I will highly recommend you to please watch this video till the end so that you can understand these topics, and this topic will be very much required for your troubleshooting and for your day-to-day activity as well. So sometime what happens is like you'll be getting a request to create a virtual server. For that you need to create pool, for that you need to create nodes. So you should know these things, that how we can create that and what is the use of it. Okay, and also I'll request you to please subscribe my channel and hit the bell icon so that you never miss a video from me. So without any further delay, let's get started. So friends, all these topics are practical, so we have to perform in the lab. So before we perform this lab, we have to understand some of the terminology, which we are going to understand with the help of this diagram. Okay. So friends, first of all, we'll understand what is node, what is pool and what is virtual server. Okay. So basically we have to think on perspective of BigIP, or I can say F5, whatever you think of. Okay. So you have to think from the perspective of F5. Okay. So node is nothing but a system, okay, a system with a port number. Basically a node will look like this: 192.168.1.10, okay, 1.11, 1.12, something like this, and also the port number. So let's say if we are monitoring web server, it will be 80, or let's say if this is a secure server, then it is 443, something like this. So now friends, you should be thinking why we use this port number. So basically the users who connects to, let's say, google.com or facebook.com, they will use HTTP, right, or maybe HTTPS. So this HTTP is 80 and this is 443. So they are using the port number, so they are accessing on this port number. That is the reason we have to define this port numbers, right? So now all this will have access, like they are hosting the web servers, right? So now we have to club it together because we have to load balance. First we need to send to this one, then second, then third, like this. So we have to do the load balancing. For that we have to accumulate all this, like we have to collect all this and we have to put it in the pool. Okay, now pool will have this information, like how many nodes are there inside this pool. I can put it 4, I can put it 3, 5, whatever the number it is feasible for that. Okay, how many servers are there, accordingly we'll put those nodes and we can club it together with the help of pool. Now this pool will not have any IP address or something. In this pool we are just doing the monitoring. Okay, this pool will help you to monitor all the nodes, whether these nodes are alive or not. If these nodes are not alive, if it is dead, those nodes will be removed from this pool. And then let's say, what I'm trying to say is, let's say we have a pool, okay, and let's say we have 3 servers and 1 server is down. In that case, these nodes will be removed from this pool and the load balancing will happen from 1 to 2. That's all. Okay, this is how there are a lot of functionality that is available. This is just an example I just said you. Okay, and now this pool will be clubbed under virtual server. Now what is virtual server? Virtual server is nothing but the user will be accessing this IP address. so we'll have an IP address. So basically what happens is when we type www.google.com, right, google.com, now this google.com, when we do the DNS lookup, we'll get an IP. Let's say we'll get an example of 200.1.1.10. now this IP belongs to this virtual server. Okay, the traffic will directly hit to this virtual server, and now the virtual server will look into this pool. Now pool will decide like, okay, we have like 5 servers to which I need to send it to. Okay, now as you are seeing, this is an public IP address. Okay, and here we can configure private IP address. That is, you don't need to understand right now, don't need to do that, because that will be a confusion for you guys. So leave it for now. Just try to understand. The user traffic will hit to this virtual server, and this virtual server will find out the pool. In the pool, then they will find out the node, and the traffic will go exactly to this node, and then the traffic will come back and goes to this user, right? So this is how all this process happens. Okay, now we have understand the node, pool, and the virtual server. We need to understand 2 more things. One is VLAN, another is self IP, which I am going to explain with the diagram what I have created, like the topology what we have created in EVNG. So let's get into the lab. So friends, let's get into the lab. Let me rub this off and we'll go directly to the lab now. This is our topology, a simple topology. Okay, to simplify things, I will tell you that how the VLAN is created, what is the reason of creating these VLANs. Okay, so basically, as we have studied Palo Alto, okay, there we have created zones. So same way, when we create a VLAN over here, we are creating basically a zone. So simplify things. There are a lot more things. Just for understanding, I'm telling you. This is not the thing that I'm telling you. See, to activate this interface, we have to assign some VLAN, and then we can assign an IP address. So basically, with the help of VLAN, we are creating a zone, and after that we are assigning the IP address to this interface. Or let's say this is our inside IP, this is our outside interface. So this is inside zone, this is outside zone, and we will be assigning an IP address to both the zones, so that the traffic comes from this interface can be segregated on the VLAN or IP address information. Then only it goes to big IP, and then it can go to the servers, right? So I will be doing those practicals. I'll show you how to do that. Okay, let's get into the GUI of big IP. Okay, so this is our login page, and we'll just log in over here. Now here we'll go to the network first, because we have to assign the IP addresses. So we'll go to the status of the interfaces. Now we can see the status as uninitialized, all the interfaces. So we are using 2 interfaces. One is 1.1 and 1.2, right? Now 1.1 and 1.2 both are uninitialized. Okay, so first of all, what we are going to do is we have to go to VLANs. Okay, and we have to create the VLANs, because we are creating kind of a zone, right? So we'll just create as outside, right? Now we'll just create a zone name as, and we are not tagging any VLAN over here. If we want, we can tag it. Okay, so we are untagging it to 1.1. So basically this is our outside zone, because the user will be coming here and accessing the server. So these servers are inside. So let me write this up. So this will be our inside, and this will be our outside, because the users will be coming from here. Okay, so now we'll go back to the GUI. Okay, now rub this up, and yeah, add this interface 1.1, and then we will repeat. If we finish it, we'll come back to this screen. Otherwise, if we repeat it, we'll go back to another screen where we can create a new VLAN. Okay, now here we'll create inside where the servers will be. So we are not tagging to anything. 1/2 untagged, add, finish. So we have created two zones, which is inside and outside. Now if we go to this one, now the interfaces that you are seeing, it is up right now. Okay, now once we turn on this interfaces, like once we assign this VLANs, we have to access it, right? We have to go through, the traffic has to be forwarded inside this big IP, right? So for that reason, we have to give the IP addresses. So for that, we'll go to self IP. Now create a self IP. Now we'll just give a name. So we'll give inside one so that we can remember it. Okay, so inside is IP address will be 192.168.10.10. Okay, now net mask is 255.255.255.0. Okay, now what is the VLAN? This is the inside VLAN that we are now here. Port will be locked down, so I will cover it later, not now. Okay, this one, all these things, so just put it as default. Whatever the blue mark that you are seeing, it is mandatory. These are not mandatory, this is optional. So I'll just do it later. I'll explain you and then do it later. We'll repeat it. Now we'll go to outside. Okay, now we'll assign an IP address 200.1.1.10. This is the public IP address. Okay, now finish it because this is outside. Sorry, we have to select the VLAN as outside. Finish. Now we have inside and outside, and the IP address we can see over here. If we go to here, not here, sorry, so the self IP, I can see the IP addresses. Okay, so we are done with the IP address schema at big IP. Okay, now we have to configure the node and the pool and the virtual servers. So friends, now we'll go and configure the node first. Okay, so first of all, we have to go to local traffic and then we have to go to nodes. Okay, so what is the IP address that I have defined already over here is 192.168.1.1, 1.2 and 1.3. These are the IP addresses, and we are hosting the web server. So web server, it works on port number 80. So I will be using port number 80 for nodes. Okay, so I'll go back here and I will just create nodes. So I'll just name it as server 1, right? And the address would be 192.168.1.1, right? And we are not using any health monitor for particularly for this node, not right now, and we are just putting this as default. Okay, repeat. Okay, I guess I have given a space, that is the reason. Okay, so server 2 and the IP address would be 2 and repeat, and we have got server 3, right? Now we have to define the IP address. Finish. So we have created server 1, 2 and 3. So when you create the name, there should not be any space, otherwise it will not take it. Now once we create this server, we have to create the pool. Okay, so we'll create a pool and we'll just name it as server pool, right? Now health monitor, this is the health monitor. So basically what happens is these are already created. We can use TCP, UDP, whatever it is. Now we are using HTTP. So basically what happens is when you use HTTP as health monitor, every time F5 will go and try to get the website access. So basically what happens is it goes here, okay, and it tries to access 192.168.1.1 like this, HTTP. So every time it will go, if he gets a reply from this, then it thinks that this server is alive. So every time it does for all the servers, so that this to check whether the servers are alive or not. Okay, now we'll go here and do an HTTP, and I'm just putting as round robin for now. Okay, and here we need to select the nodes. So we are selecting the nodes and the port number is port 80, right? And it should be HTTP. Okay, adding to 2 as well and to 3 as well, right? So these are the nodes that I have added with the service port number, and this is the name that we have configured. This is the load balancing method that we have chose, and we'll finish it. Okay, now once we done that, the next is virtual server. Okay, create. Now server VS, I'll just name it as VS, that is virtual server. Okay, now here there are a lot more options. We'll just fill it only the blue one, the necessary one, the blue one. Okay, now I will tell you some of the things like source address. The source address can be anything because they will be accessing from globally, so we are not sure about the source. If we know, we can define the source IP address as well. So we don't know, so we'll just leave it like this. Okay, now here we need to define the IP address where the user needs to access. So maybe we can define the self IP, we can define any other thing. So we'll just define the self IP. So 200.1.1.10, right, on the port number 80. Okay, HTTP. That's all. And apart from that, there are a lot of things that we can do. We'll come up with in this series there are a lot of things that we are going to cover. For now we are not going to cover anything else apart from, and now we have to define the pool over here. Okay, there are two ways we can define. We can finish it up here, and we'll go here, we'll go to resource, and we can define the pool over here and also over there as well. Okay, we'll update it. So we are done with this server. Now you can see a status says that this node or this virtual server is up. Why this virtual server is up? Because if we go to this pool, now once we go to this nodes, I can see the first server is up and the other two servers are down right now. Okay, so it tries to get the information from this server, but the server F5 has not got any information about the server, so it marked as red. So as this virtual server is up, because still the users can reach the server. Okay, that is the reason it is up. Okay, now we'll test the connection with the help of users. So friends, now we'll go and test the connection with the help of this PC. Okay, so this is our PC. We'll configure the IP address first. So we'll go to the settings, and we will go to change adapter settings. We'll try to configure the IP address, the same IP address what we have configured on the outside. So this will be like 200. Okay, so this will be 200.1.1.100. okay, and the IP address will remain same, like the subnet mask 10. This is the gateway, and it's fine. Now we'll open the browser and we'll try to test the connections, and we'll see like to which server it is going on. So there was some issue with these two servers. Right now I can see all the servers are up. Okay, Now with the help of these we'll test the connection. Okay, so we'll try to access 200.1.1.10, right, which is the IP address of the virtual server, which is 200.1.1.10, right? So we are going to access this one. First is goes to server 3. Okay, once we refresh it goes to server 2, and when we refresh, okay, I guess we need to go to another browser and we'll test the connection again. Goes to server 2. Okay, we'll try that with another browser. So 200.1.1.10. Now it goes to server 1. So there are a lot more things. It depends on your browser how it do the connection with the F5 server. So we cannot predict every time the load balancing because if you are generating the traffic from another host, the load balancing will be properly done. But it is inside, like how a browser understands a session, it purely depends on that. So we cannot say that every time it goes to server 3, and after that once we refresh it is going to server 3 itself. So we cannot say that every time the browser will do a new connection. Okay, so the result may be different, but as we can see over here as well as here, it goes to server 2, it goes to server 3, and it goes to server 1. So the load balancing is happening. So friends, now we'll go to the stats and we'll see how it performs, like the load balancing, how the load balancing is happening. So we'll go to the pulls. This is the pull. As we can see, there are total 8 connections. Out of that, 2 went to server 1, and then 2 went to server 2, and then 4 went to server 3. So that's what I told you. It depends on the browser how it deals with the session. So we are doing from only one PC. That is the reason the results are like this. But in the real world environment, the round robin will happen like every time it goes 1, 2, 3, and then starts with 1, 2, 3, like that it is. So what I'm trying to say is the first connection will go to this, second this, third this, and fourth is this, fifth this, and sixth this. But as we are testing from this user, it may differ. Okay, so this is what I wanted to cover in this video. If you have gained some knowledge, please give it a like to this video. If you have any suggestions, or if you want to give some kind of modification to the video, please do it in the comment box. And maybe you can send me an email, maybe you can send me a message on Facebook, Instagram, wherever you want. And I also request you to please subscribe my channel, and we need to reach the 10K mile as soon as possible. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.